I have never been what you call a gamer. Sure, I own a console, but it's outdated by now. I like to play the old games, but that's about it. I'm almost 40. Old enough now that when I was at the height of my gaming years, all that really entailed was getting together with friends to play Mario, Castlevania, Excitebike, or Punch-Out. Maybe Sonic if a friend had a Genesis, which no one does anymore. Keeping up with the latest trends was never interesting to me. I had a lot of interest, reading, watching movies and television, listening to music, but gaming, it was never a hobby, more like a pastime. Like most pastimes, I don't really understand when someone makes a lifestyle out of it. Today, the gaming scene isn't aimed at the casual gamer. You get accused of being a noob if you aren't up to date on everything. It's almost a religion. So I leave it alone, and I've been content to do so for several years now. For the most part, the gaming world has also left me in peace. There was only one time, however, when the gaming world decided not to leave me in peace. In fact, the whole experience was enough to turn me off gaming for life. It happened at a pretty low time in my life. I just had my ex-wife file for divorce from me, and I had to move back in with my parents while looking for a new place to live. I have recently gotten a new job after the one I had been at fired me for all the time I missed due to divorce proceedings. Yeah, way to care, asshole. Anyways, my new job was a system analyst for a major company. I was one of many, a cog in the machinery. But I had been in a few jobs like this in the past, and they all operated differently. Some of them you only had to care about while you're there, while others expected you to bring your work home with you. And I had not yet figured out which kind of job this was. So when the call came, I didn't immediately recognize the voice or the number. My first inclination was that it was probably someone at work. My mother answered it, and I heard from across the room that a male voice asked if Brandon was there. Mom handed me the phone. "Hello?" I answered.
Hello, is this Brandon Coates?
Yes. Who is this?
Oh, I need to confirm some codes.
At this point, I still thought that this was a work call. I didn't recognize the voice at all. But I didn't know everyone at the office yet. Maybe this guy needed me to confirm my employee ID or something. Or perhaps needed to make sure I had all the access I needed for the systems I was going to be helping maintain. What sort of codes? I asked.
Look, the fucking codes you provided aren't working,
said the voice. At this point, I began to realize this wasn't a work call. I was momentarily stunned, unsure how to respond to this jackass who was already getting hostile with me. His next words removed any doubt that he had gotten the wrong Brandon Coates.
For NBA Live on Xbox 360.
I'm only very aware of the game system called Xbox. I never played a game on it, nor did I ever plan to. Also, my job had nothing whatsoever to do with video game systems. I'm sorry, I said. I'm pretty sure you have the wrong number.
Don't fucking lie to me.
The dude was really angry now. more angry than he should be over something as simple as dialing the wrong person in the phone book.
You're Brandon Coates. You said so. Now fix these goddamn codes, or fuck you, fucking Braindaddy punk.
Okay, I said. I'm hanging up now. Don't ever call me again. He was still yelling as I hung up. I didn't give the matter a second thought. Likely the guy was just pissed and said some things in the heat of anger that he would regret when he calmed down later. But a couple of days later, I got another call. This time my father answered it. And after a moment, handed the phone to me with a concerned expression on his face. I took it and said hello. The voice on the phone was not the same man who called before.
Brandon Coates?
Speaking?
Listen. Fuck you, Braindaddy. You're a fraud and a joke. If I ever see you again, you're fucking dead.
I couldn't help it. I got pissed. Listen, fuck nugget, you got the wrong guy. I told your buddy a few days ago that I am not the Brandon Coates you're looking for, and this call is harassment.
Yeah? You like it? Wanna suck my dick?
I hung up. I almost couldn't muster the restraint I kept from hurling the phone across the room. Where are all these people, Brandon? My father asked. The look on his face made me realize that he was concerned. Not for his son who was being harassed for the crime of sharing a name with another guy, but concerned about his son who might be involved in something dangerous. I hadn't said anything to them about the last call other than wrong number. But a second call from an obviously different person, cursing me out and threatening me? My dad was sitting close enough to me that I know he heard the other person's threat. His suspicions were raised. My parents and I get along okay. But to say they haven't always been on board with things I pursue is an understatement. For one, they were against me marrying my ex-wife to begin with. And several times in my life, I had money problems. I can tell by the way my father asked, "Who are these people?" that he fully expected me to answer. As if I knew. He likely thought they were moneylenders or worse. Wondered if I started selling drugs or something. The truth in this case would truly set me free, at least as far as he was concerned. They think I'm this other guy who has the same name, I said. They keep calling me Braindaddy. They think I'm involved with the Xbox 360 or something. I have no idea what they want, but they won't believe they have the wrong guy. Well, these calls better stop, son, said Dad. The tone in his voice was exactly the same as the one he used when I was in school. These bad grades need to stop, son. Just the same tone. Like the calls were my fault. I honestly didn't know what to do. Contrary to whatever my father's suspicions are, I have never been involved in any criminal activity, and I didn't know how to deal with harassing phone calls. Also, a naive part of me thought the calls would stop on their own. That sounded like the easiest way to deal with it. For about a week it was. But then, One Saturday, when I had nothing else to do, and both parents were gone, the phone rang. I took a look at the caller ID and let it ring. The number and caller's name were blocked. It would most probably be someone calling for Mom and Dad. I had made it to a point to not answer their phone if they weren't there. After all, I had a cell phone, and most people who needed to contact me would use that. My parents are very old-fashioned people. They don't have voicemail. In this case, it was probably a good thing they didn't, or it would have been them that heard the message. They still had an answering machine, as if it was still 1988, and, like all answering machines, didn't give a shit about privacy. Blasting through the house loud enough that 2 senior citizens could hear it no matter which room they were in, came the following message.
Braindaddy.
Drawled a gravely voice. The person on the other end sounded either like they had just woken up, or was drunk, or had a bad cold.
I saw you at GameCon. So beautiful. It was like lightning through my penis, man. You're gonna take my dick up your ass so soon.
There was more, but it was just muffled curse words. I let it finish and then immediately erased the message. I decided it was time to get serious. Clearly they weren't going to stop. I could hardly believe what was going on. These people, all of them sounded like young men in their early 20s tops, had taken what I was starting to realize was an online vendetta way over the line. Their actions were bordering on illegal, and I knew I had to do something before they decide to. Shit, who knows? Show up to my parents' doorway armed? I fired up my laptop and Googled Brandon Coates, Braindaddy. Search results were plentiful. The first 3 hits were nothing close to what I was looking for. But the third had a headline. Braindaddy Brandon Coates gives his opinion on Call of Duty Black Ops. There was more, but that was all I needed. Clearly this was the guy that the assholes calling me had thought they had reached. I opened the link and read a little way. It turns out there was a guy in my city, a real young guy by comparison, who did indeed have my name, and who was apparently quite the gaming guru. I'd never heard of him, because I wasn't a gamer. And if I were, there was no way in hell I wouldn't have known who Braindaddy was. He had a following on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and several gaming websites, wherein he would offer advice, reviews, offer cheat codes, etc. Apparently he was the most sought after game reviewers in my area. He had made friends with some of the most influential names in the gaming scene. And from what I'm starting to pick up on, he also made several enemies. Finding his email was no challenge. As luck would have it, he did have it listed on his Facebook page. It was probably a business address. Maybe one that he didn't even personally check. But I didn't care. Even if one of his subordinates read it, they would at least take the message I was about to send seriously. Mr. Coates, you don't know me, but we have the same name, and apparently this is enough for several severely misguided people to confuse us. Over the past few weeks, I have received several harassing, threatening phone calls from people who believe I'm you. I neither know nor care what you did to piss them off so badly, but I urge you to take action to get this all to stop. You appear to have resources to contact your followers, and if I were you, I would use those resources to inform them that they have been contacting a person with your name and behaving in an illegal manner. If these calls don't stop, my next step is legal action. I have a feeling you don't want that. I urge you to take this seriously. These calls stop, or you'll hear from my lawyer. I know what you're probably thinking. Why blame him for this? Why threaten him with legal action? After all, it wasn't him that made the calls. No, it wasn't. But I know a thing or two about online flame wars. And I know that generally when it's reached a level like this obviously had, both parties likely share the blame. If legal action was being threatened, this other branding codes would take me seriously. It turns out, I really shouldn't have done that. The next call was not from my parents' house. It was my cell phone. I wasn't able to answer it when the call came through. I was at work. In fact, I didn't even see the call until my lunch break, when I checked my phone and saw a waiting voicemail. My call history showed one missed call. Naturally, it was a blocked number. I had no other way of reaching the person who had left this message. Of course, I knew who it was. My heart was hammering in my chest, with more anger than with fear. But I was a little afraid too. Whoever these assholes were, they have gotten a hold of my unlisted cell number, which I had only recently acquired after changing cities to move in with my parents, and which I had, in no way, shape, or form, put online, even in an email. I went to my car and retrieved the message. I sat there, feeling harder than I should, considering it was snowing outside, and listened. The voice that spoke was deep, raspy, haggard, and barely qualified as human.
Hello, Mr. Brandon Coates, aka Braindaddy. You obviously don't know what's good for you. You think you can fuck with us, but you're wrong. We know where you live. We watched you sleep. We're watching you right now as you sit in your car. You will never see us, but we will always see you. You belong to us now, fuckball. Your worst nightmare is only the beginning.
Cold sweat broke out all over me. I was shaking. Never in my life have I felt such fear. My head began to whip around, looking at everyone who was passing by where my vehicle sat, just on the side of the road less than a block from my office. That guy in the gray suit, was he looking at me? No. No, he was looking behind my car at the female jogger. What about that seemingly benign homeless man just a few feet away from me? Or what about the guy about to cross the street? My gaze went past the man waiting to cross. Behind him was a silent, still figure, staring straight at my car. No one else seemed to notice him, but I couldn't help it. He was short, almost dwarfish, and his proportions were strange. One arm was longer than the other, and his head and neck sat at a strange place on his body, almost to his shoulders. He was wearing a Halloween werewolf mask. In shock, I straightened my seat and blinked my eyes a few times. When I looked again, he was gone. The phone rang. It sounded to my stressed ears like an air raid siren.
We see you, Braindaddy. I hope you understand we mean business now.
I swallowed. Clearly this person would not be threatened by legal action.
What do you want?
I croaked.
We want you,
said the voice,
to die.
There was silence on the other end for a while. I thought the person had hung up. And then...
But first, we will kill your parents. First your mom, then your dad, so he can watch her die. And we're gonna kill your cheating whore of a wife. Then we're gonna kill your brother. When everyone you care about is gone, we're gonna kill you.
Why? I heard myself ask, as if from far away. Why are you doing this?
Because you don't know who to fuck with and who not to fuck with, Braindaddy. You don't know the kind of deep well of shit you disturbed. Apparently nobody told you the kinds of things we can do. Or maybe you don't believe we can do them. I hope you believe now, Braindaddy.
I swallowed again. I was totally dry, so it felt like my throat was rubbing against sandpaper. I thought this was about cheat codes or something.
It always starts small,
said the voice. It kept getting deeper and more evil sounding. If Satan ever spoke to me, I imagined this is what his voice would sound like.
High-minded shits like you think you can scam and never get caught. We're here to show you just how wrong you are. You have no idea how badly you fucked up.
The line went dead. I spent the rest of the week in a cloud of fear and misery. I could hardly eat. I can barely breathe. I didn't dare call the police or try to warn my loved ones of what was happening to me. I knew they were watching. I knew that one false move from me would only hasten the punishment they felt I was due. I spent most of my time at home staring at my laptop screen, wondering what I could possibly do to end this hell I found myself in through no fault of my own. And then, in the corner of my screen, a chat window opened up. I haven't used MSN chat for over a year. Most of the people I used to keep in contact with were no longer a part of my life. I had forgotten that the program was in my startup list and constantly running in the background. At the sight of it, I felt the panic rise. My vision blurred, and for an instant, I was certain it was these people again. These faceless people who are always watching. But the screen name was Braindaddy. Here's a copy and paste of our chat. It was still logged in under my now ancient screen name. Drink PBR. I'm so sorry, dude. What the fuck, man? I can't stop what's happening. Real sorry. What's happening? I can't breathe. I'm afraid to go outside. It's complicated, man. Can't really explain. I never meant it to hurt people. Dude, I warned you that if you didn't make this stop, I'd get the police involved. Who are all these people? Nothing the police can do. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Listen, I don't have much time to explain. They were after me, but I panicked and told them I wasn't me. I saw your name come up on Facebook, and I said it was me. Okay, first off, your ass is so sued once all this shit is over. Second, your smug fucking face is plastered all over these gaming sites. How did you manage to tell them that I'm you? They don't see like we do. Not really. Can't explain much better. They're not like us. They love to play games, but they hate it when you offend them. Told them once to go fuck themselves, and now they want me dead. No, they want me dead, asshole. And they're watching me right now, so don't tell me they don't see. They hear you, and they smell you, but they don't see. Like I said, it's complicated. That's why I'm messaging you. If you don't talk, they don't know. Just tell me who they are. I don't want to spend the rest of my life afraid. That's not how it works. You don't get to escape. They say they're coming for you, then you're dead. You escaped them by telling me I was you! Got lucky. There was another Brandon Coates in my city. But we're only two. Except he was quite wrong about that. He was the only Brandon Coates in this city. I was, in fact, born Warren Brandon Coates Jr. I went by Brandon because my father went by Warren. I quickly logged off of the chat room and went to work. I went to my Facebook page and changed my name to Warren Coates Jr. I did the same thing to my Twitter name, my LinkedIn resume, and my email address. I changed the voicemail message on my phone to, "You have reached Warren," and so forth. I pulled out my driver's license and smiled, seeing that my name read Coates, Warren Brandon Jr. And I waited. It wasn't until the next day that I heard from them again. The phone rang. It eventually went to voicemail. I waited over an hour before I had the courage to retrieve the message. It was the same voice, but the tone of his message was light and friendly.
Sorry, man. I must have had the wrong person.
And I never heard from them again. After a few years, I was able to relax, finally, convinced that I was safe. Yesterday, I googled Brandon Coates, Braindaddy again. The first hit was his obituary. That suited me just fine. Fuck him anyway.